Oh, hey, Robin. Welcome back.
Hey, Natsaj.
Yes. Well, how's things going? How's Batman?
Batman's great.
It's wonderful.
See, it's my turn to come to the store today,
Right,
and
right. What are we buying today? What are
well,
we
I have
for?
about 16 power,
Oof.
which is quite a lot.
That is.
And
lots
so
of power.
I was thinking about Batman's utility belt, and if you have Wonder Woman's tiara, I would love Wonder Woman's tiara.
Oh, well, I mean, typically we only sell Wonder Woman's tiara to Wonder Woman.
Why?
Well, it's... Yo, that's a good question. Why do we only sell it to Wonder Woman? So
Yeah.
you want a tiara, you want a belt?
The belt, the tiara, and
Okay, what else can
let
I
me
get
attack that 2-point lobster right there.
Sure.
Yeah, attack that
I
thing.
mean, it's dead.
Yeah,
It's great.
8.
Sure, we can. Do you want anything else?
I might have a couple points. Oh, I have 3 points
Do you want
left.
like
I think.
like a Batmobile
power.
or?
No, give me that location. Gotham City is my location, so I think I see Gotham right over.
You want
over there.
the whole?
Give me that Gotham right there, because I get bonus points for that.
Okay, you would think a city would be more than 3 power, but it's
No,
not.
it's
So I'll just go get that. I'm gonna go get the papers, and I'll be right back.
3 power totally makes sense to buy Gotham. This is the Cryptozoic DC Comics deck building game for 2 to 5 players ages 15 and up. Maybe it's because of the scantily clad superheroines. I really don't know. But it's a deck building game, and in this game you are playing one of the members of Justice League. This is the basic set. This is the first set that comes with the Justice League. So you're either going to be Green Lantern, Cyborg, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, or The Flash, playing up against multiple villains. And in this game, you are one of those characters, and you fight the villains, a bunch of them, until you finally beat the final villain, and then you win the game, I guess. And then you try to beat the other heroes somehow. You're kind of fighting against the villains and yourself in this game. But that's kind of what the game is about. And then you add up points. And then whoever has the most points wins.
So the first question that we need to answer here is, what exactly is a deck building game? And the idea of a deck building game is actually pretty simple. You start with this tiny deck, which has really nothing in it. It has a couple power, a couple weaknesses, and vulnerabilities that don't really do anything. And with this alone, you can't do a lot. But you use what little power you have to start buying cards from a lineup. And in this game, there are a lot of different types of cards. Depending on the theme of whatever deck building game you're playing, there might be a lot of different types of cards. You know, things like Star Realms have a complete space theme. Seems like there are Egyptian ones, which have like Egyptian relics to them. With this one, you're buying things like villains, you're buying superheroes, you're buying superpowers, you're buying equipment such as batarangs and things like that. You're buying locations, which then become permanently usable, so you get their abilities. You also have a special power in your superhero who you're playing. So in this case, I'm playing as Wonder Woman. I get a power for her that I can use every single turn. There are a bunch of heroes in this game, so if you wanted to play any of the Justice League members, you certainly could. And why are we collecting these cards? Why are we buying cards left and right to make a better and better deck? Well, it's for 2 purposes. We want to fight each other, but we also want to fight supervillains, because if you defeat a supervillain, they also become a part of your deck. But if somebody defeats you, you start to get weaknesses, and weaknesses are really crappy cards that do nothing. So in your hand of 5 cards for your entire turn, you might not have any power at all if you've taken too many weaknesses. And the idea of deck building is that by the end of the game, your deck doesn't look like this little thing. It looks more like that, and you have lots of different powers at your disposal and lots that you can do with them. Let's learn a little bit more about, you know, the supervillains and how exactly you win this particular deck building game.
So in this basic set of this game, you're going to be a superhero, so you are fighting against super villains. And the first supervillain of the game will always be Ra's al Ghul in this set. Once you beat him, he goes into your discard pile, whoever beat him, and then it gets flipped over and a new supervillain appears, and it is Atrocitus. And also, I forgot to mention, there should only be 7 more behind Ra's al Ghul that are random, so you don't know who's going to show up. And so it's Atrocitus, and he has a first appearance attack. All of them have first appearance attacks, so when he first appears, he will attack everyone. Bam! Everyone gets attacked. Now, the way to win a game is to basically get through all of the supervillains, right? Once all the supervillains are gone and defeated, then you will add up your victory points. Victory points are located at the bottom left corner of all of the cards. You add those up. Now, while you're playing, if you have a villain that has an attack, you can attack the other player and give them weaknesses, which look like this, and they actually are -1 victory point. And then you have other villains that give you other things like punch and vulnerability, and there's other actually villain cards that are, or other cards rather, that are dependent on other circumstances, and they have a star, which means refer to the text above, and it determines your victory points. So it could change everything. Every card that you have will change everything. And then you add that all up, and whoever has the highest victory points wins the game. So with this basic deck building game, you have your general rules, but inside the actual rule book, they give you variants that you can play. One's called On Patrol, which I don't remember the rules for. Or there's another one that's printed officially online called Draft, which basically you have these other cards that you can print out, and each player is a numbered player, and it kind of goes around, and each time it goes around, you get different things that happen to you at different times, so your points become different. And then there's also the hidden supervillain variant, where all your supervillains are hidden in your main deck. And so they pop up out of nowhere, and you have to deal with them then, which is also really fun. And then there's also variants where you could play solo, or even a cooperative game, which you can kind of make up, or you can find them online. But there's a thing where it's a survival mode, and the weakness cards become like a timer. Each round or each turn, they start going down, and when you take weaknesses for yourself as your character, you're taking more of the time for the game. And by the time it's over, or there's no more cards, game's over, you lose, unless you win. So those are, I don't know, those are just some variants, and I'm going to work on creating some of my own.
But there's also...
Oh my god.
There's also expansions. Tell them about the expansions.
Yes, there are
lots of
expansions coming out, which I'm really excited about. I mean, I told you can make a co-op game out of this, which we have. We've made a co-op game out of this. Maybe you can hit us up and we'll tell you what it's like. But you can also get the Infinite Crisis expansion number 1. There's 2 of them. There's 2 of them. And they mix it into a co-op game, and it has crisis cards, which is kind of like the crisis cards in Dead of Winter, where when you flip it, everybody has to cooperatively resolve that card before the end of the round, or they have to do it before they can even attack a supervillain. So that's the difference between Dead of Winter and this. There's also Heroes Unite, which is another expansion, which adds more heroes, because in this first box, you're just the Justice League. So in the second box, you could be Nightwing, you could be Starfire, you could be, all these other heroes, Booster Gold. And then they also come with other villains that you can also use, and a whole new set of cards.
But I will say, my one criticism of Heroes United is a lot of those characters, while they have different art on them, they have the exact same powers as the original Justice League.
They do?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Batman and Nightwing, same exact power.
No way.
Yes, they do.
I don't
That's
believe
called
it.
recycling content,
I don't believe
Cryptozoic.
it. I don't believe
recycling
it.
content.
Stop. I don't believe it.
But there's also Forever Evil, and that
Forever
has a
Evil
bunch of villains.
Is so cool.
And you're fighting heroes, and that's really cool.
So instead of playing a hero, you can play a villain. So you can fight each other, and it makes more sense that you're, Cyborg's fighting against a villain versus Cyborg fighting against, Wonder Woman or Superman, right? Yep. And then up here instead would be superhero nemesises, because you're both playing villains at the time. But when you combine the 2 decks or multiple decks, you could play heroes against villains, and you can have, I don't know, heroes and villains there, and you can start making your own house rules where you have like maybe 2 lineups where one's for villains, one's for heroes. Who knows? You can do all kinds of things.
The possibilities are endless.
There really is.
There's also a Batman and Robin expansion. We don't really care about
a Batman
it, but
one.
there is one.
There's also going to be a Teen Titans one. There's an Arrow one based on a TV show. Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm really excited about creating the variants that you can make out of these other expansions. I can't wait. I am obsessed.
Now, I think we would be avoiding something if we didn't talk about one of the major flaws of this game, which is that the theme makes no sense. Why is Cyborg fighting Wonder Woman? Why is Cyborg recruiting Parallax into his team? Why am I recruiting any villains at all? Why can Wonder Woman use the Batmobile? It's a lot of nonsensicalness. It's a lot of things on cards that look really cool but don't really make a lot of sense why you're buying them or why you're using them or why you would recruit these villains into your team, which is why the variants are so important, is because a lot of variants spend a lot of time fixing the theme. But that's the problem, is that the variants take a lot of time to fix the theme of the game that should have had a theme that was pervasive through it all right from the start.
And I think it's a trap of superheroes as a theme itself, because there are heroes, villains, and then there's, you know, heroes affiliated with other heroes, and then equipment affiliated with heroes and villains and locations, versus something like Star Realms, or even Star Realms' theme isn't completely perfect, but they're not licensed properties, so you don't really care as much that one faction's fighting another faction. But when it's like a war game, you know, everyone's a soldier, everyone needs guns, everyone needs, you know, these type of equipment or needs these locations, whereas this is so different. You wouldn't fight hero versus hero, you know? But yeah, the expansions help, and variants definitely help. I do like that every single card's art is different, even if it's the same hero. When you find a Wonder Woman card, it's a different Wonder Woman. You find multiple Wonder Woman cards that are all different Wonder Woman. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but at least they're different art. But otherwise, it's all established art already. So it's not art that they created for this game. It would be cool if it was created for this game. Maybe in future expansions and updates, it'd be cool to have actual new original art for the game. But otherwise, you know, that's great compared to like Marvel Legendaries. You can have all Cyborg's cards. They look exactly the same. The characters' cards look exactly the same, even though they do different things. So it looks, I don't know, it looks a little bit lazy. I gotta say one thing though that they have that's good for this is that it's super, 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 super simple. In fact, people have, I don't know if they complained or at least they said it was great that it was so simple as compared to any other deck building game. If you know any other deck building game, you know how to play this. There might be some other variants or some other different abilities that cards can do, or different things that can happen. Like maybe these bigger oversized cards is very different. They each have their own abilities that make it slightly different, but it's much more simpler to understand than, say, Marvel Legendary.
It's like it really lends itself to making your own game, making your own house rules, and for the right person and the right player, that's really cool, because most games are pretty locked in. If you want to make a variant or change the rules, it could significantly change the balance of the game, but not really so with this game. You can change it a lot and still have a good time, and it still works, and that's really exciting, I think.
Yeah, but I think it'd be great to have an option to have a board to add it for those players who are a little bit more invested. Or even people who want to make variants, like me. A set board might not work, I guess, because I want to create lines, I want to create other decks and stuff. But for the general player who just wants to be more invested in this game in general, a board would be nice, except that when you add expansions and you add a new deck like Crisis decks, you need another space for it. So maybe you add other spaces on the board for future expansions. You could do that.
All right, so let's get to the heart of this. Do we pass on it? Do we just play it at somebody's house? Or do we buy it?
I must have it. I would totally
You would totally buy it. Here's what I'll tell you. If you like deck building games, play it first. If you like DC or comic books and you like deck building games, this is a no-brainer. Buy it. You're going to love it. Like, if you like DC. If you don't like deck building games and you don't like really care about DC, this is definitely a pass for you. Like, you're really not going to get a lot out of this game. This is a game where a lot of the fun comes from the theme. It comes from, oh my god, I just got the Robin card, or oh my god, we're fighting Parallax, that's so cool. So I would say, if you like either the theme or deck building, play it. If you like both, absolutely buy it.
And I also want to say that it's not as simple as saying, like, this is a regular deck building game, but they just changed the pictures on it, and therefore it's thematic. There's things that are a little bit more specific to the DC deck building game, so it's not, you know, I don't want to, you know, bring it down by saying it's just like another deck building game that's painted over with DC. It's not, okay? It's not.
But this is not the deck building game that's going to change your perception of deck building games.
But mine will.
Oh, there we go. All right, well, that's our episode for this week. Check back next week. I think we're probably going to review a co-op game next week. Maybe even something very cold-related, something winter-related, something dead-related. That all sounds terrible.
Oh, yeah.
So, we'll see you guys next week. Make sure to like and subscribe.
And if they're interested, maybe we could do a video in the future on my variants, my multiple variants.
That's right. We're really excited about our new show, Game Night. Please like and subscribe. Please let us know what you think in the comments down below. I'm at KukamungaCat on Twitter. He's at carlkaholi. I'll put some links to our blogs as well. We are really enjoying doing this. Let us know if there's a game you like that we should review. Let us know if we've reviewed a game and you thought completely differently than us. We want to hear from you. We'll talk to you next week.
The supervillain at the top of the deck will always be Ra's al Ghul, and once you beat him, the person who beats him puts it in their discard pile, and then... Why is that there? What the...